What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Devy Royale YouTube channel. We got another 2023 rookie mock with landing spots, with draft capital, with some great managers that I had got together for this one. And hey, the Super Bowl's over now. Chiefs are your champions. Now we're diving into kind of rookie season. I know some people have been doing it. We've been doing it on this channel for a long time to give you guys ready, but I know some other guys will be jumping into rookie talk now. So let's do it. Let's dive into what a rookie mock draft would look like with some questionable landing spots like we always get, and people never seem to think that we're always going to get these perfect landing spots for fantasy. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to look at 4 rounds, going to give some spotlights and kind of talk about where the value is at. So let's dive into it. While the intro is going, hit that like button. Don't forget. All right, let's dive into it. So like I can see, you see our guy Bryce Young in a Colts uniform. We're gonna do a rookie mock draft. So what I did a randomizer mock draft and kind of looked at the landing spots and draft capital, made sure it makes sense. And then we basically took it and we just rolled with it and said, all right, let's draft these guys based on this, because I think a lot of mocks. So as we get into the first round, a lot of mocks just say, hey, here are the best players. And right now there's a consensus forming, and the consensus might be wrong. So let's shake it up a little bit, right? So we have Bijan Robinson, 6 foot 215. We know what Bijan is. He goes to Minnesota first round, so they move on from Dalvin Cook in this scenario. And hey, would they take this? Now, I know their GM is a very analytical guy. He looks at the numbers. So would he take a running back in the first round, especially with that what we've seen for the running back position? Look who just won a Super Bowl, Isaiah Pacheco, right? So when you're looking at this, I don't know if they would do this, but let's just, for the sake of it, they did him, right? So looking at Bijan there, I think that's a smash hit for every fantasy manager out there. That would be awesome for Bijan. And I kind of talked about this on Twitter. What do you guys think in the comments? Like, do you think there's a bad landing spot for Bijan? Some people point out the Eagles because of Jalen Hurts. Like, what landing spot would you not want him to go? And then we got Bryce Young of the Colts, first round draft capital. They moved up. That's who moved up for the trade to grab Bryce Young. CJ Stroud with the Texans. Then we have Jahmyr Gibbs with the Bills. So he went at 104, and he got second round draft capital here with the Bills. The Bills going for another second round running back here. I don't know if they would do this, but again, if you like him, do you like him in that system? Because some people talked about him not being good in the Viking system, or excuse me, as like a, Bijan would be bad for the Bills. So would Gibbs be good for the Bills? I don't know. I think it's pass catching upside a little bit. But again, he's going at 104 here because of the landing spot. JSN went first round of the Bengals. So in this scenario, they move on from T. Higgins. And they grab JSN. I think that's an interesting spot for them. That would be a smash for JSN's value. He's got to go top 5. And then Anthony Richardson comes in at 106, first round draft capital. Now, I will tell you this, those of you that have not done rookie drafts in a while, Anthony Richardson's going top 6 in every draft that we have, even in the ones that we don't know draft capital. As long as he gets first round, I know he's going to shoot up in probably the top 5. And we're looking at rushing standpoint. We could be talking about Anthony Richardson being quarterback 1, right? If he gets first round draft capital and he's got that rushing upside. Now, I wouldn't draft him there, but he could be. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at it realistically, right? So that's the first 6 picks. Not a lot to like, hey, when you're looking at just draft capital, what happened? Now, after that, we have Zach Charbonnet, kind of with a shocker here. He goes second round of the Chargers, though. So that's where that built-in draft capital there. And to be honest, after both running backs, we don't really know who running back 3 is right now. People might have Evans there, Tank Bigsby, those days, but it might be Charbonnet. So that's something to look at. Jordan Addison gets first round draft capital with the Giants. Zay Flowers gets in there at 109. And the reason why Zay Flowers gets in there ahead of some of these other guys, he went first round with the Chargers. So they kind of doubled up, win offense. There's noise about maybe Keenan Allen not coming back. Mike Williams, what is that going to look like with that contract? Everett, they talked about maybe moving on from him. So they might need to have a little bit of an upgrade of the offensive positions. Will Levis at the 110 with the Raiders. So he goes first round. He's going to go at the 110. Now, he's been going at the 110 and 112 for a long time. Those of you that are listening, I would really contemplate, if you're sitting at the 110, 111, 112, I mean, I know this wide receiver is really nice. So Quentin Johnson to 111 and Kayshon Boutte at the 112. Johnson gets first round draft capital. Kayshon gets third. But if you're sitting there at that 110, 111, 112 mark, you might need a quarterback, right? Maybe you lost Tom Brady. Maybe Tua is your second quarterback and you're a little nervous about his with these concussions. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is your second quarterback, right? Or maybe you just competed. You got Zach Wilson, one of these younger guys is kind of disappointed. You're a little worried about. Maybe you have Geno as your QB2 at Superflex. If you need a quarterback, the 110, 111, 112 might be a good time to move off of those picks. Now, if it's Quentin and Kayshon, it'd be kind of hard to. But if you're sitting on the clock and Will Levis is there and someone needs a quarterback and wants to get younger and they have Russell Wilson or they have Kirk Cousins or they have one of these guys out there that you could go grab, that might be the pick that you move. And just to give you guys a heads up, that's kind of where that value is for that pick right now. Now, as far as spotlight goes, so let's talk about the spotlight for me. For me, it's Anthony Richardson right now, and I think you see his passing numbers. I mean, we know that, but overall, like, what is he going to do well, right? So first thing, he's got mobility. He's the true dual threat in this class. He could be quarterback one, Konami code, everything. Konami is basically made after him. Like that's his value. Arm strength, he has it. He's one of the some of the toughest arm strengths in the world in this class. Like just watching him play, like you watch the tape, he crushes it. Athleticism too. Gets up and down the field. You have that world class athlete. Like he has that. Now his bad is bad, right? So accuracy, really really bad accuracy. Post snap reads. I've been watching a lot of his all 22 to get ready for our rookie guy that we dropped at Football Guys. Completely free, 120 proof profiles. Want to check that out? It's in the description below. But you know his all 22 is a mixed bag. It has great plays, and then it has these decisions, and kind of he struggles with those second and third reads, and I think that's just inconsistency, and I also think that's just lack of reps, and that's that production piece that's down there too. So I think overall, like obviously his profile is good, but he has a lot of question marks and concerns. Like he is the biggest risk in this class. Now I also wanted to show you a little bit of some analytics and some things. So experience adjusted yards per attempt. So your adjusted yards per attempt is something you look at with quarterbacks. You'll see this here. Like CJ was really good, obviously his sophomore year, and Bryce and CJ pretty much they stay the same there. But then you have Hendon Hooker, who was up there. Anthony Richardson never hit above the line where he has a top 12 NFL season. Now, I don't think we're highlighting his passing for him to be in the top 12, kind of like Jalen Hurts. I think Hurts is a good, like, not comp as a player, but comp as a fantasy asset. If you could get Richardson and then him turn into Hurts, obviously Hurts is an outlier because he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy. But if you can get into that top 12 category with his rushing, I think you'd be okay. So as long as he's an okay passer, like, hey, he might be a quarterback 15 passer, but a rushing upside in fantasy can get him in the top 10. I think you smash that all day, right? Now, here's the second round. We got Sean Tucker with the Titans. And again, when you're looking at the Titans here, then maybe they move on from Derrick Henry and they say, hey, we're going to take that next step. You know, when you're looking at Sean, he got third round draft capital there. Tank Bigsby gets third round draft capital to the Lions. And maybe, hey, that's a pretty good compliment to Swift if they move on from Jamal Williams. Joshua Downs gets second round draft capital with the Bears, and they go ahead and take him. Jalen Hyatt with the Texans. So Hyatt got third round draft capital. Michael Mayer gets second round draft capital to Houston. And then Tyjae Spears gets fifth round draft capital, but he gets taken at the 206. I think that was the biggest question mark in this draft class. Like, would you take Spears there with fifth round draft capital over some of these other guys that maybe got a little bit better draft capital? So we'll talk about him. Kendra Miller is going to get fourth round draft capital. Devin Shane is going to get third round draft capital. So would you take him over those other guys? I think that's the big question mark there. Now, when you're looking at this next half of the second round, Zach Evans, he got fourth round draft capital to the Steelers. And we're hearing a lot of rumblings about Zach getting fourth or fifth round draft capital. That's something to watch because a lot of people have the running back 3 at maybe 109, 110. But again, if he gets that draft capital, that's going to be a big miss for people. Kendra Miller, Atlanta, hey, that's a great spot for him. Now, Miller got fourth round draft capital, but because there's so many running backs in this class and the D value of the position, fourth round might not be a killer anymore. So if you're looking at 208, that's not bad, right? Roschon Johnson, Green Bay. You know, go in there. That's a tough spot for him, especially with what you want to see. Fourth round draft capital. Dennis Shane, he got freaking third round draft capital. The Niners, all the Shane lovers would be all over that. And third round, he would go much higher, I think, but his size is going to drop him down a little bit. Parker Washington was kind of a surprise in this mock, but I love that because we had guys like this last year, right? So when we're thinking about, hey, where did these certain guys go? Tyquan Thornton, with the Patriots, they moved up and grabbed him. So Parker Washington, who hasn't been getting a ton of buzz, he gets in there. So when you're looking at just overall draft capital and where he goes, he's going to go in the third round. So Jaguars come up and they will get their guy, second round. He went in second round here. Dalton Kincaid, I like his spot. I actually don't hate it. Seattle, hey, he could be that guy, leading target getter on that team, 212, all aboard the Dalton Kincaid train. Now, as far as a spotlight here, I do want to look at Devin. So when you're looking at him, like we know his numbers, 1,100 yards, 196 attempts, 36 catches, 196 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like we've seen it. He is a pure athlete. I love Devin. And this is one of those things. Like, it's his size to me. 185 is not good. Now, a lot of these guys are coming in a little higher, right? So if he gets that weight up a little bit, maybe you buy into it. Again, I'm a sub 200, stay away. But maybe he's the outlier you guess on. I'm not ready to go that yet. I want the NFL to tell me what they think of him. But if he gets third round, I think you got to think about him getting a little higher in draft capital and rookie drafts. Now, he's got speed. This dude just burns. Like I don't think people realize just how fast he is. Track speed, lateral agility in the open field, freaking is amazing. Vision in the open field. He's got that all. Like he does that all well. The thing that's going to always hurt him is his contact balance. his size, and his injuries. I mean, those are the things where you go. So contact balance and size, that's a big part of where his weight is at, right? Injuries could be a big part of where his weight is at. Now, it's not terrible, the injuries, but he has gotten banged up a little bit. Now, he came back, showed that perseverance, didn't quit on his team this year. I think that's something not to hold against him. And show that he had some great kind of intangible stuff. But again, I look at this number and I look at his dominator rating, guys, and look at him there above Bijan. Now, I know people are going to talk about this being a Sean Tucker stuff because he's over Bijan there in the first 2 years, but Devin has been right there too. Like that first year, no, but then the last year was Spiller in sophomore year, and then this last year when he was kind of dominated in that backfield. So you look there and just look at the numbers and pause and look. He's right there. The one thing holding him back is that sub 200. So what you want to believe, really, he's one of those guys where the numbers are going to tell you what you think. And you're just going to basically have a bias. Like if you think he's too small, you're going to say, well, the numbers don't matter because they're, or if you love him and you're like, hey, the size doesn't matter. Look at all these numbers. Like that's really going to be him. Now, the third round, we're going to go through these a little faster. We got Darnell Washington, Nathaniel Dell, Luke Musgrave, Hendon Hooker. We actually got second round draft capital to the Saints in this one. Chase Brown, Kenny McIntosh, Israel Abanikanda, Cedric Tillman, Eric Gray, Rasheed Rice, Trey Palmer, and Marvin Mims. And the reason why Marvin Mims fell so low, if you're asking, Marvin Mims, he did go to the Ravens. And that was really the big one. Him fourth round of the Ravens was not a good landing spot for him just based on where he went in there. When you look at Darnell, he did go in the second round of Lions, so maybe they go there. Musgrave is also the second round of the Raiders right there. With the Browns, Nathaniel Dell. So when you're looking at Nathaniel, like smaller guy, do you like him in that offense? Do you like how he fits there, right? I think Izzy being at the Broncos is an interesting spot. He did go fifth round, though. So all these guys are going to go day 3. So that's kind of in terms of like the running backs and the wide receivers. So that's the question mark. Trey Palmer, fourth round to Atlanta. Not a bad spot. That's the guy we're going to highlight right now. So when you're looking at Trey Palmer, 6 foot 193. This last year, 12 games, 71 catches, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. He looked really good. And I had this question in our Discord. So if you haven't gotten our Patreon, I would think about it. $3. We're working on the manifesto right now. It's coming out pretty soon. We have a lot of content in there. I had a question like, hey, why can't Trey Palmer be that guy? Like, why am I not intrigued with him? And I think some people said, hey, yeah, I don't hate that really as his late round guy, right? So when you're looking at him, he has good yak. He was on a team in LSU that just had a crowded wide receiver room. He just didn't get it going. And then he transferred to Nebraska, had a really bad offense, and his head coach got fired in the middle of the year, had inconsistent quarterback play, still put over 1,000 yards. He could play special teams too. I think that's something to note because he can stay on the field. And he can get on the field and make the team. He's got good hands. I think that they're all solid there. Now, as far as what he doesn't do well, I don't know if he's going to run very well. His production window, people aren't going to like that. I think his route tree suffers because I think he's so athletic and he did not develop at the schools that he was at. That was an issue, right? So route tree, production window, speed. I think those are the areas that you've got to look. And I try to put a dominator weight in here, some guys around his area where he's going to go. So you'll notice here, like Trey didn't obviously play those first 3 years, but his fourth year, he at least hit above the line, right? So that's what we're looking for above the line with wide receivers, the top 24 and 12 NFL season, and also 24 to be that wide receiver 2. He's above Rasheed and Nathaniel Dell. Like, we look at Nathaniel Dell, never hit that mark in terms of where he was at. Trey did hit it last. So I think he's a guy that you guys got to keep an eye on. If he gets a nice spot, you're going to earn some targets. He's not a bad third round kind of shot taker. Now, here's the fourth round, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Overall, DeRay McBride went to the Cowboys, 5th round. Keaton Mitchell to the Colts. Chris Rodriguez, Sam Laporta to the Green Bay. Deuce Vaughn, interesting spot there in Chicago. Jaden Reed against Chicago. Xavier Hutchinson, Tanner McKee with the Bucks. Tyler Scott, Puka Nacua to the Green Bay Packers. Tavian Wicks and Raheem Jarrett. So those are kind of the overall where the landing spots was. A lot, like I said, all these guys got late day, day 3 capital. Overall, like I thought some of these spots were interesting. I think Wicks being interesting. He did not do well in the Senior Bowl, so I don't know what's going to happen with him in terms of his draft capital. But I think, hey, going to the Cowboys is not bad in that offense. DeRay McBride, hey, people might like him. Maybe they move on from Zeke. I don't know if they will, but if they do, he went the 4th round here, taking a shot at him, maybe be a touchdown guy. But we are going to highlight Jaden Reed. So player spotlight. I talked about it as my rookie sleepers. Again, he's still going to the 4th round. We saw this. We see his numbers there. His ability to have yak is physical. He's versatile. Like, he did really well. He's the best player at the Senior Bowl. He's got the best bump there. We've seen wide receivers do this time and time again. And I love that he came in at 191. Like, that's the key. He came in at 191 and looks good. He is an older receiver, though. He's got a slight frame. Like, I like his physicality, but his frame doesn't always match that in terms of what he can do. Inconsistent production this last year. He really should have came out 2 years ago, his junior year, but he came back for whatever reason. But when you look at experience adjusted yards per reception, I mean, he's right there, right? His 4th year. You see that. Like, he's been right there in in the mix, especially with those wide receivers that we think of as being the guys, Kayshawn, JSN. He was above Jordan Addison, when you're looking at Jordan Addison's Blitnikoff year. So Jaden Reed is a guy that I think you kind of keep a highlight. Just know, hey, who are these guys going? So that's our mock. I appreciate you guys. I love these rookie mocks. I love landing spots because it's so fun to kind of differentiate between where you think these guys are going to go. And again, draft capital is going to screw people. Look at Isaiah Spiller this last year, right? So we're getting into that season. We're in that season now. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, we're trying to get up to 2,000 subs before the next week. So we're going to try to do that. Our description below, we have our Football Guys rookie preview. Go download that, man. It's free. All you got to do is put your email in. 120 rookie profiles from me, Christian, and Jeff on there. We're going to be adding version 2 and 3. We're going to add a ton of stuff in there, a ton of content. And look up our manifesto, Devy, Dynasty, all of the above. Get in there. Let us know what you guys think. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.